I'm Afia Law. I head up our international growth of NFL flag football. Today's been an exciting day for us because we've finally launched NFL flag in Kenya. So the schools which will be taking part in a program this year, Learning the Game, have come down today to launch the program, to try the sport, try different drills and skills involved in NFL flag, and really see a little bit more about what they'll be learning in schools and what they'll be doing as part of the game. We were excited to come to Kenya and seeing children pick up footballs for the first time and try these drills for the first time. We can see they're enjoying themselves. They've already got lots of skills that are involved with the sport, and you can tell, they're going to pick this up so quickly. And we're just so excited to see, what's going to happen when we come back later in the year. The schools and children take part in a tournament, so they really get to kind of show off and showcase their skills that they've learned in the sport. And I think from today, we're going to have some fantastic players and some fantastic teams. So the long-term plan is, first of all, to get these 10 schools playing. We've trained the teachers to deliver the sport, so they'll be teaching the children back in their schools how to play NFL flag and getting them ready for a tournament later in the year. So that will be really exciting for us to see how have the schools get on, to see the children showcase their talent, but also then for us to continue to look to build the program. So to give more schools in Kenya and Nairobi the opportunity to play the sport, and more children those opportunities as well.
Maybe we've not had enough focus on it, and that's something that we're trying to rectify. I think also we now have some Olympic ambitions where it's very important to be strong in the 5 markets as well, and flag is a sport which lends itself very well to the Olympic program, and I think that's also helping us accelerate our focus on Africa. So I think there's always been interest here, but I think this is a good time around our potential inclusion in the Olympics and so on. It's a good time to really step up our efforts in this market from a fan and player point of view. It's been fantastic reception, I think, at all levels, honestly. We've spent a long time with the sports minister. We've spent a lot of time with CAS, with KFAF. The reception here with, I think, just the kids, the teachers. We had a teaching session for coaches yesterday, or a coaching session for teachers, I should say. So, no, the reception has been incredibly friendly, and there's a lot of passion here for the game. And people are discovering it as well and becoming more passionate about it. So we can see that there'll be a lot of momentum created by even just a short stay here like this is this week. But we have to build on that after we leave. We have to ensure that the resources and the interest remains after we pack up our bags and flags and head off back to where we come from. But we need to ensure there's a presence here and a focus here to grow the sport across all levels. We're incredibly positive about how this has gone in Kenya. It's been really a huge success, I think, for everyone who's been involved in it.
As far as the infrastructure is concerned, the training equipment, what do we need for us to ensure that this talent is identified and it is nurtured and it's taken to the highest level possible?
Yeah, and there's an equipment level in flag. Fortunately, it's light versus the contact form of the game. You need balls, obviously. You need some flags and maybe a few cones, but even that you don't need perhaps. So there is funding that's required, or donation from our own sources, to get that equipment in the country. But the infrastructure is something that we can manage with the stakeholders on the ground in order to find those jewels of athletes at the elite end. But you'll find more jewels at the elite end that will spike the interest of the population here if you've got a broad base of entry into the sport via flag. So flag is very critical to our ambitions in Kenya and across the continent.
I have to ask, for someone who may be wondering, does the fact that someone may be a rugby player, does it predispose them naturally to transitioning into American football?
Sometimes, yes, that is true, because they're players who have got a sense of contact. They're usually good athletes as well, but it's not a guarantee. It's a different qualities are required. But there are some rugby players, and we've seen it. We saw Jordan Malata with the Eagles in the Super Bowl final, a rugby player out of Sydney. He's made that transition. We've seen others do that as well. There's a lot of good rugby players in Kenya. We know that, whether they're sevens players.
One of our own who went and signed for American football. Started out as a rugby player.
That's an obvious connection, and you've got great athletes in the rugby area, sevens in particular, but also in your 15s. And yes, they are in certain positions. They are well aligned to potentially succeed in American football. But there are a whole lot of other body shapes and sizes that aren't necessarily rugby players that can also succeed in a very short period of time. You can take someone who's never touched an American football, and within 3 years, across a certain age group, they can find themselves in the NFL, and that's a great opportunity, a great life opportunity for them, and a great opportunity for the NFL to be finding the finest athletes in the world who aren't always in America.